points on the lesson. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Fear how I feel, then it feel like a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming in November 17, 2021, and Nvidia is going to $1 trillion, or at the very least, that may happen tomorrow. They're going to have earnings. They are about 20 or 30% away from hitting that $1 trillion market cap. It is going to be a very big deal, but this is going to bring up a very important play for tomorrow. I want to go over it, but we made a lot of other plays today that are going to relay, and even what I'm expecting for tomorrow. Where's the BABA play? We're going to go over it, but there's going to be a lot of action. But today was a very crazy day. We were able to go up across all indexes. It was a very solid green day, and this all had to do with that economic data. We got the retail report. That came in very good, and there wasn't really anything negative. It is looking like we may have a good end to the week as long as there is no surprisers. So we got earnings still. We got to hear from some of the companies like HD and Walmart today. They both did good, even though Walmart ended up down. The reports were overall solid, and we're going to get a key industry and a lot of the China stocks to finish out the week. So it is looking like it's going to be exciting, but we got a lot to go over. I got the keys. I got the plays. We made a ton of different plays today. We had an awesome move there on Roblox, and we did a nice little strategy. So if you've been following along, we need to go over that. I have 2 different plays that I'm looking at for tomorrow and a couple of other ones. So we got those, and then the plays for the rest of the week. So let us not delay. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes for open. It's the first link in the description, and it's pinned in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. It's free 99. It costs you nothing to join. YouTube.com/TheStackMarket. You can post the plays, see the plays, watch us come to life, and yes.
What up, Chad? How you doing? Hey, Chad, I heard you be doing trades and stocks. Hey, I just got something for you. Hey, I'm an island boy. Oh, Chad, you're an island boy. Heard you been trying to make it. I swear you all gonna make it. Hey, I'ma keep it all in real. You an island boy. Doing like an all-white wine. Keep it like you gotta keep that gun. Chain keep getting no pay. Oh, Chad, you gonna get paid. You gonna rock them up just like a J. You gonna rock them up rolling 23. So you see it like you gotta show them bleed. I'm like, damn, oh, Chad, you gon' make it, yeah. I said, oh, damn, Chad, you gon' take it to the top. I said, I'm an island boy. Oh, Chad, you an island boy. We some island boys. And keep on snapping that chain and keep getting paid. We some island boys. Shout out to you, Chad. We out.
Island Chat's the place to be, and the most important thing you need to do, post your watch below. Let us know what you're looking at. Got any plays, comments, remixes, anything. Post them below and source that info. Shout out to Chad, baby. So, right off the bat, like I said, today was all about the economic data, but specifically, that was the retail sales report. There was also industrial production, but for the most part, you got to see the biggest retail jump since March, and we were looking for good economic data, but this was kind of pretty much the best since the beginning of the year. It solidified the consumer. It solidified all of the earnings. Yes, inflation is bad and people are worried, but all of these numbers show it is not affecting the consumer, and people are still spending and the companies are still earning. So it's not like today was a super rip on the market. It was overall green, but considering that we hit all-time highs and there was some activity in tech stocks, for the most part, it was a very positive indicator. Again, you even got home building data and a lot of other metrics there. All of it was very good, and that's what gave us the melt up. And then on top of it in the morning, there was nothing bad out of China. There was only good news that they eased some of the restrictions on their gaming companies, and then nothing came bad out of that meeting. So like I already showed you here, your first pretty picture, this is the retail sales number. Usually this isn't a catalyst that we watch, again, just in the context of higher inflation, tapering, and then watching earnings. It just had a little bit more importance this week, and the fact that it just came in a lot better than expected, that moves things. But like I said, this is one of your biggest prints all year, so a very good nod there for the U.S. consumer. But now we are not out of the woods just yet. Again, we got to watch out for Friday. That's that middle of the month expiration. But now for the next few days, it is going to be all about China. So Nvidia and their earnings will be very key. That is domestic, but a lot of things towards the end of the week, we are going to be watching out for China, and I even think there's going to be a lot of plays there, and I'm looking for them to even surprise, and if they do, that'll be very important. But even if they don't, again, unless Nvidia is really, really bad there, the market should still be good even without China, but there could still be some other outside effects, and in this case, today we got it. It could be all about Powell. So there's news that we're going to hear about the nominee or the president's nomination in a few days, but it's starting to look like it's 50-50, and some people are saying that Brainerd actually may even be a little bit more bullish for the market, because the first time we heard about her doing the interview, the market kind of liked it before selling off the second time. So we got to keep our eyes out for that. That will be key news, but it's probably going to hit next week. As far as this week, all we got to do is see the China earnings, the China data, and make sure Nvidia doesn't have a black swan, and then it'll be exciting. But coming into the company news in advance, right back here to the Fed, Biden hints that they will have a Fed chair pick in 4 days. So it's a weird timeline, a weird specific 4 days, but it looks like it'll probably happen over the weekend. There was reports today, the Senate banking chair has already said that Powell and Brainerd both have votes with a lot of members, and even the White House has begun discussions with some key Senate members to make their decisions. So they said they have not picked anybody, and it's kind of being worded that it's 50-50. There's a lot of discussion about this. You will probably hear a lot more about this towards the end of the week, and then by Monday, if there's no announcement, we'll see, but I'm pretty sure over the weekend we should have our answer, and that will probably be the most important news coming into next week. So definitely keep your eye out for that. Then another one, you haven't heard about this in a while, but you will probably hear about it in a couple weeks here, but Yellen has warned on the debt limit measures. She said that we may run out of money by December 15th, or in this case, this is the extraordinary measure, so that December 31st timeline is still in play. Yellen is pretty much saying the extraordinary measures get exhausted on the 15th. There's other estimates as to when all of the money is gone and they can't spend stuff. So originally, about a month ago, they came in at December 31st. I'm using Yellen's update as like a place marker on the front end, but we are still going to be watching for the end of the month. But again, debt ceiling, it's important. You heard about it and then you stopped hearing about it. This is probably going to be important as we get into the closer weeks. Pretty much the closer you get to December 15th, or pretty much on December 15th, you'll probably see the market start to react then. So watch out for that. Then Peloton, they went crazy today. They actually sold off on this news, but then ended up bouncing. But they did a stock offering at a lower price. The stock was dropping in the morning, but then by the end of the day, the stock rallied, and a lot of people just interpreted it as a lot of major investors backing the company. They're like, all right, they're still buying a follow-on offering. It was still kind of high relative to where it was trading in the morning, and a sell-off turned into a bounce, and people are starting to say, well, I guess Wall Street can look past some of these bad third quarters, especially if it was a COVID miss. So that one was very interesting. But now coming into the politics here, Bernie, he's offered a SALT plan, and this is still very, very key. We should be seeing if we're going to get this social spending bill by the end of the week. I think this is tied to it, but Bernie has offered a new SALT plan to keep the $10,000 SALT cap at $10,000 for anybody making over $500,000, and then if you make less than $500,000, you get an unlimited amount of SALT deduction. So pretty controversial. I mean, again, SALT leads to a lot of write-offs, so we'll see how it plays out and how they're going to battle over the bill. This is a very big sticking point, so we will see what happens. And then Activision, we saw this today, but they got a really, really bad drop in more negative press. There was like a groundbreaking Wall Street Journal article on them, and it was talking about how the CEO knew about all the bad stuff that was going on with the workers, the sexual harassment, how they were being treated, and then following that release, there was a report that the workers are planning a walkout. So stock dropped around 4 to 5%. We'll see how that one plays out. That was interesting. And then for more baby mama drama, McDonald's, the CEO met with pastors today, at least 100 pastors and community leaders at a church in Chicago, to repair the image and apologize. So this one was interesting. We've talked about this news. We've gotten 3 or 4 headlines. You haven't seen the stock move, so that's good, but keep your eye out for them. And then this one, very interesting, because this used to be a very hot industry in the market. We'll see if it comes back here. This used to be the old EV, but 5G, the FCC has been holding an auction for 5G airwaves over the last month, and it finally ended today with almost $22 billion in bids. So people are bidding for 5G airwaves, or companies are, to be able to have the use. They finalized those bids today, and we probably should be getting updates from some of these companies by the end of the year, but that was very, very big piece of news. And then Qualcomm, throughout the day, if you didn't see the stock, they went crazy, but there was just a slew of upbeat guidance they gave. They gave a lot of updates at their investor day, and they essentially just reaffirmed all of the positive stuff they said on their earnings and their new outlook towards growth. Essentially, if you don't know, Qualcomm is literally saying, yeah, we're going beyond chips. Yes, the smartphones and you can make money like that, but they are literally expecting to make way more money just growing with chips in other spaces. They're not having supply chain issues. Again, their earnings was absolutely crazy, but this investor day and everything they unlaunched, it was absolutely nuts. It was kind of like the Roblox one today too, but Qualcomm, that was the big news on them. And then finally, this news is great. Rivian is now worth more than Volkswagen. So yeah, it's one thing to beat Ford, it's one thing to beat GM, but now Volkswagen, that is now Rivian. So they got options today. That was really exciting. We'll see where it ends by the end of the week, but so far the stock has doubled since IPO, and it is definitely not trading like Coinbase. So pretty straightforward. A lot of different news and events. The key tomorrow is going to be very simple with China. If we get any more of those earnings surprises, it'll carry us home, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities, especially with Nvidia and BABA. So I hope you're ready, but that is pretty much it. So let us get into the plays. So right off the bat, I got 3 different stacks that I'm looking at coming into tomorrow. I only have plays on one of them, but a lot of them are going to be about timing and they relate to each other. But the first one I'm looking for is BABA. So I did make a Baidu play today. We'll go over that. That was a pre-earnings run-up. Baidu is going to report tomorrow, and this is pretty much part of it. We're going to watch there in the morning. There may even be a follow-up effect. You got a little bit of a boost today on BABA, but then it faded. But Baidu is going to be reporting tomorrow morning. Depending on how they do, if you get a third quarter surprise like we've seen with a lot of these other companies, and Baidu somehow does awesome, it might spark a little bit of that IV coming into BABA. So I decided to grab weeklies today. You'll see what I'm talking about, but what I'm expecting, their earnings is on Thursday. If Baidu earnings is good tomorrow, there'll be a pop, and then people might start running it up into the earnings, and I'm looking to flip the weeklies for the IV alongside the other plays that we have. But overall, there's been a lot of talk and hype with China. Again, you got more de-escalation news today, so that was good, but overall, there's just been a lot of positive sentiment, and if these earnings kind of ease the fears, that will be good. But as far as the play, I decided to grab the November 190 calls for 28 cents. A little far out the money. Again, this is a weekly, and if you remember that Tesla weekly, I lost 88%. I was down like 97%. I mean, again, the weeklies in this market are very, very wild. If it expires this week and it just gets too volatile, you will get clapped. So this is risky. I'm going to look to flip it or at least make a couple of them free, but I really do like this idea here with BABA and all of that. Again, we still have the K-Web plays too, so watch out for that. And then you can see the Baidu play. I grabbed these ones in the morning. Again, Baidu is going to report tomorrow. I thought it was after hours, or I thought it would be on Thursday, but it ended up being early. So this was essentially the last day to play the earnings. I bought these in the morning. I got the March 210 calls for 575, and that's something to keep in mind. As we get closer to this expiration, you're running out of time on contracts. So those Januaries and Decembers, they're going to start trading a little bit different. So I wanted to make sure I got a little bit of time, but I held it till the end of the day. They ended up not going up. I was actually down on them like 10%. I decided to sell 2 out of 3. This was like we did on the Walmart yesterday. I do like some of the hype. I like the fact that guidance is just very low for all of these China companies considering what's happened in the last quarter. So I decided to ride out one of them for $500, just not take the whole risk. If you remember, I did that yesterday with Walmart, and I ended up losing 55%. So you're still going to take the risk. This is better. Again, I had like $1,000 worth, but only lost 147. As long as we've been taking profits, it has not been as bad. So we could kind of push a little without going too crazy. But I really like the China plays. That is going to be the first play. Now, the second play, Nvidia, like I'm saying, they're about 20%, 30% away from becoming a $1 trillion company. Earnings is pricing in about 5%. If they surprise, they may go crazy there with the continuation. There's going to be a lot of eyeballs on it, but what I'm looking for tomorrow, there's 2 things. I'm going to relate it to Lucid. We'll talk about that, but the second thing I'm really going to be looking for is going to be the earnings ramp up or slide. So Nvidia usually moves pretty sizably on the day of their earnings, so I think there's going to be an opportunity. I'm really looking for a earnings ramp up where literally just off of the morning, it starts to run, the premiums go. The premiums were higher than where they were yesterday. remember we had those place markers, or at the very least, you might see a little run and then it could just slowly sell off pretty big. Again, usually day of earnings, a big mover like Nvidia, it could move a lot. It's only pricing in 5%, so I wouldn't be surprised to watch it move 2 to 3% tomorrow before the report happens. A lot may happen through a gap up, so we will see what happens. But that's the first thing. The second thing now is going to relate to Lucid. We're going to talk about it, but essentially after earnings, I think Nvidia is going to be a fire play, and that's pretty much what you saw here with Lucid. But coming into the final play here with Lucid, I really like it. This stock was actually the most active retail stock today on Fidelity besides Tesla, so a lot of volume, a lot of names. They did good on their post-earnings. The earnings result that people liked was them being confident in their delivery numbers. Stock was up like 20-something%. But now this is where I like it, is because the premiums are still in a weird, cheap, but expensive puberty state. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but remember, we flipped this out. I already got like 50% on this play before, and we got it pretty nice. Those would have been nice if we kept holding them, but if you come to the Lucid option chain, you'll see what I'm talking about. It got a little bit of an end-of-day push to make them close up here, but some contracts, especially on the weekly, and that makes sense because they're weeklies here, but even just a little bit out at December, they finally went crazy here, and you can see now they're a little bit at this price, but no, this is still even December. But through most of the day, this is where I'm saying is that even after the earnings, even when the stock was up another 10-15%, the options are still lower than when we first kind of made the play. So it was very, very interesting to see, and overall it is looking good and I like them. But this is where I'm saying now Nvidia could play out like that, where Nvidia has had expensive run up leading into it just like Lucid did. Earnings may not affect it as much, but Lucid in general, it's a big runner. There's a lot of eyes on it depending on how the other EV plays and Rivian plays. I think it's going to be very key. But coming into the rest of the plays, I actually made quite a few today. I also grabbed Uber. I did a day trade off of this one. I mean, we held it for like 20 minutes there. The news in the morning was that Uber CEO bought $9 million worth of stock. They gapped up. It was looking like a very strong leader, and then we had our old plays, remember, so I used this as a place marker. These plays have still been very down since earning. I bought 10 of the 55 calls for 76 cents, sold them out at 90 cents there, a quick $140, small gain, and then I don't think it went up any higher from there, so we got that earnings run up move. And then I made the Baidu play, and then Clorox, you guys remember these, 245. Well, we got to sell out of these. This play was a loser, and I got to walk away with 4-cent profit. I made $12 on it. So remember, we were down like 50-60% on this one alongside the Dollar Tree. We finally closed out both of them with a profit, so I got out of that play. And then I did a Roblox play, and this is now where the strategy gets good. If you guys remember, we've had this big share position. We're now just under 70%. Even today, I got to make $7,000 just on the share position I'm holding. But if you remember, we got these put plays. I grabbed the January and December puts, and now you can see I'm down $2,000 on one and another $500. But this stock has ripped up a lot since then. So you're seeing I've lost $1,000 on the puts today, but then I got to make another $7,000 on the shares. And now this is where the story gets even better, because these puts together cost me about like $3,500 or $3,700 for both of these plays. But now today I sold a covered call, which essentially made it where I agreed to sell my 800 shares of Roblox at $150, and I bought them at $69. So I'm already up $38,000 on the share. I'm pretty much agreeing to sell it once I'm up like $60,000, $70,000 profit. But the best part about it, I collected about $4,000. So more than what I spent on the puts and around the same deadline. So essentially now, as long as this thing stays between like 100 and 120, nothing will really change. If it goes up past the 120, I'll still keep making more and more money till 150. But then even if it drops now, I'm fully protected. If it drops from here, I'd make $4,000 off the covered calls. And then if these came back to life, we would do pretty good. So you're seeing as I've hedged it all the way out through, we've been able to flip. If these gain profit, I will be down with flipping them. We're not done with the play, and I still like Roblox a lot, but showing you an update, and this is where you guys got to see multiple days events of moves strung together, but you're seeing how it's putting us in a good position, and now we're making a lot of money, but at the same time protecting it as well too. So that was a cool play, and then finally I did the BABA weeklies and Baidu, and then that was pretty much it. So as far as everything else, gonna watch the Nvidia tomorrow. I'm going to keep an eye on Uber. I was thinking about double dipping on that. I really like that news today and the price. And then watch Airbnb. They were up today. I'm surprised they closed red, but that one's going to be key. They haven't broke 210. They may slow down a little bit here, but I think they're going to hold up well above the 200. I don't know if they'll come back here, but earnings continuation still in play. But sadly, all of the premiums are still very expensive. So watch out for that. Then Roblo, again, it had a very great day today. And if you did not watch that investor day, you should. They're making a lot of changes. Literally, Roblox it looks like they're worlds ahead, no pun intended, on the metaverse than Meta themselves. So it was very great. I love it. I love them even more for the long term. I think it's going to be on fire here. There was a price target later yesterday at like 120. They did hit 120, but I don't know if the party is necessarily over. I think anything could happen, but they're coming off of great earnings. The guidance that they gave today was the Investors Day, their first ever in their history. It was absolutely awesome, and I just think they're going to have a lot of momentum here. So keep your eye out for them for the rest of the week. Qualcomm, we saw this one early, but it kept ripping out here. If that continues tomorrow, this one could be fire, especially with the Nvidia run-up. Watch them. Pfizer, they announced that they're going to make their COVID pill a generic version or allow it to sell generically. So that was kind of positive. They're a little bit weird. There was also other news that the government was going to buy 10 million doses, and they popped off that, and they got another thing too, but watch them. And Merck, and in general, I would just keep an eye out for any of the value plays as well. One of those is Sam. We have this one, and it came up, but a lot of people are talking now about another one of the rotations. I was talking about it last week. I think I was a little bit early, but don't throw this idea out the window. I'm still holding those Coke and the Cardinal Health and all that, but a lot of things right now, it's the largest range between value and growth stocks since 2000 or since the 2000 bubble popped. And then what happened after that? Everybody went after the cheap value names. So some of these that are down, I keep an eye out for them. And then XLE, this was a George Soros play. Energy is important. This is the energy ETF. I would keep an eye on it. I think it could be very key. And then finally, coming into TLT and the dollar went crazy today. This was the European currency kind of getting clapped, but the bonds didn't move at all. But this is pretty much bad now at this point. You're breaking a lot of key levels and things are moving. I would expect bigger moves in commodities. Pretty much if the dollar keeps going, it's going to start wrecking things like oil, even crypto. I think that was part of it today. And in general, someone asked me today, what's going to happen? You've been watching the dollar go up with the markets. Do not be surprised if you kind of watch them come in tandem. Pretty much if the dollar starts dropping, the market may drop or vice versa. But in general now, the real question here is if the bonds freak out or there's any sort of bad or surprising news coming into the end of the week, or it has to do there with Powell, things could still get set off. Otherwise, we're going to look to see where the dollar stops, what sort of carnage it delivers, wait for the bonds to catch up with it, and then you'll have your narrative from there. So I hope you're ready. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're healthy, ready to go. Make sure to post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shine. I need your armor. Be thankful for the mystery, baby. But Nicole loves you. I love you. I'm going to see you in the morning. Let's go.